Today, we are talking about risk. So, some backstory. I have been land investing for a little over 4 years, really about two, I don't know, three now. Time goes by. I'm getting old. I'm getting closer to my 30s. It's starting to scare me. I've been doing this for full time a little over 2 years, pretty seriously three, and I started really about 5 years ago, but I didn't get much traction until about 3 years ago. And I've just got a lot of perspectives. Obviously, I've grown this business, the Learn Land side. I've just had the opportunity to work with and speak with people from every different level, right? All the different levels of where they are in the business. And there's some common threads that really I'm starting to pull together, less from a, hey, go tinker with this software and do this little button push and it's going to make you $1 million. Like that's never been my goal, but many people think because I teach software and tactics like that, that I'm all automation, right? One of the biggest things I've seen, my friends, is people are very risk adverse. And kind of how I wanted to explain this to you. What's up, Dan? What's up, Tal? Tal is glad to be working from, oh, I said working from home, but anyway. Joanne, hey, what's going on? So think about this. Think about when you started your land journey, all right? For me, it was 4-ish years ago, bought a course. Well, I really was actually just surfing the web at first, learning all the little trinkets. I finally bucked up and bought a course and some consulting, okay? So by the time I had done that, by the time I had sent my first few mailers, done my first few deals, I was well invested into this business, well invested in the tune of, 10, 20, $30,000 range, right? After I bought my coaching and consulting and courses and all that stuff to get me going, I had like 8 grand in my bank account. I've told this story before. What's up, Matt? What's up, Don? Good to see you. Um, and that was that. I overextended. So many people kind of forget that, hey, back in the day when I started this, whether you have done 5 deals or you have done 15 deals or you've done 50 or 100 or whatever the case may be, right? Many people forget that back in the day when we started, we actually took some of the biggest risks that we had taken. Now, this looks different for everybody, but for me specifically, I put it all on the line. Everything I had made, graduated from college, signing bonuses with companies, stock options, all the things, rounded it up and had enough money really to make a run at this thing, paying off debt, like the whole thing, right? And I think many of us forget that back in the day, we took such big risk just to get to where you are now. Whether you've done 5 deals or 15 or 25 or 50 or whatever, right? You've taken big risk. But what gets lost along the way that I see with so many people is that as you start to get a little bit bigger, you've done a couple of deals, you've made a little bit of money along the way. Maybe you've made 100, $200,000, which seemed crazy to you back in the day. Many people forget the fact that as we're scaling our businesses, if we want to continue at a rapid pace or very fast rate of growth, we have to continue, right? To continue to invest at an aggressive pace. And so just a very practical example was talking with a client the other day. And exactly, this is kind of what prompted me to want to talk about this. What's up, Spencer? Thanks for being here, brother. Is that we were talking about like, hey, I have reached this point where I'm making 100,000, like I've made $100,000 year over year for the past 2 years, 1 to 200,000. But I see you talking a lot about how you've built $1 million portfolio, and I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and like I'm kind of stuck at this spot. Like I don't know what the next steps are to go to the next level. And when you really peel the onion back and you look at that situation between most people who face that, and again, remember, you can be this person who's doing 50,000 or 100 or even two, three, four, like in those ranges, that's generally what you can kind of accomplish with hustle and hard work and putting your capital and time and energy into the business. But what a lot of people forget, my friends, is that if we want to go from 200K to a million, or whatever that number is that makes sense for you, 50K to 500, like to really get to that level where what the gurus are talking about and what you see people on Facebook doing and all these big deals. And oh my gosh, Clint's doing all this business and everybody, all these people in the comments, they're doing all this business, right? How do I get to that level? Well, the first thing I'll tell you just on that is I tell everybody this that I talk to in a one-on-one setting or a close setting, like there's so much noise on the web, on the old web, okay? So first off, don't trust most things you read online, even shit you read in this group, honestly. Like people like to puff the chest up and oftentimes that post, because I got the analytics behind it, that post is seen by thousands of people, but it's only commented on by a small handful. And oftentimes there's only one real big win in there. So if you think about that, thousands and thousands of people see these, talk about things, say these things. So oftentimes you're presented with the best of the best, right? Oh, look at this deal I made $50,000, $100,000 on, whatever. We don't realize that there's 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people behind it that saw it, maybe liked it, maybe engaged with it a little bit, but moved on about their day because maybe they weren't in that same situation or they didn't have value to add, right? What I'm getting at is, hey, first off, with social media and all this crap, you see so much stuff, and most of the time it's not true. I can just tell you from what I've seen. All right. But kind of going back to where I was taking this is many people need to understand that you have got to continue growing your adversity for risk as you want to scale this business. All right. This is something I tell my clients all the time is that conversations, at least how I do this business, I know there's different perspectives. In my business, conversations are the currency. They're the KPI. Like almost directly at any time of the year, if I want to look at how well are we doing, what's our business, or times when we're not doing well, I can pop into my CRM and just see across the board the amount of conversations we're having, whether it's with buyers or sellers, is down. All right. And so to give you a very basic example here is that, hey, conversations, as you know, to get where you are, even if you're just starting this business and you're just starting to get calls from sellers and buyers and all the gamut, the county, the everybody in between, the title companies, right? They take time. They take 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Sometimes you get stuck on the phone with the seller for an hour. Like conversations take time. And here in a second, I'm going to share some strategies about how, like, where did I take risk? Where have I personally taken risk? Where have I seen my clients take risk, take that big next step that most people don't? I'll talk about that in just 1 minute. But one of the first ones is conversations, right? And like, there's so much conversation and back and forth. 15-minute task is what I consider them. There's so many 15-minute tasks in this business that it is just by nature how much time and energy you have in a day impossible to scale to some of the levels you're talking about with with just one person or somebody that can't take some of that burden of communicating with people and closing deals and what comes from conversations. Think about conversations on the intake side, right? Conversations on the intake side are where your deals come from. In my opinion, I drive everybody to the phone, and once we get them on the phone, man, we have a high percentage of close. Okay, same thing on the sales side. I believe wholeheartedly across the business, the more you're on the phone having conversations, even call it text messages, emails, is a direct leader, right? Is a direct leader into what the results of your business are. And so I have something on here I want to talk about. That's the first strategy, though, that I'll talk about a little more in a second, is team. Like you've got to hire the team. But kind of going back to this point, and just remember, it's been a few months since I've done a Facebook Live. So sometimes I ramble and run. And if you don't know that, welcome. And if you do, well, thanks for hanging out. What I think is even way more important than, hey, I gotta take risk. Like the whole point of what I was saying is if you have started this and you invested 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 to do this, and it's gotten you where you are now, why do you think you don't have to continue to invest proportionately to grow your business to $1 million? Right? If you invested $25,000 and it got you into a place where you made $100,000 a year, right? But some of that's money tied up on terms, and some of it is kind of sunk costs that you have with subscriptions and mail and all the stuff that comes with the business, right? And you look back and say, "Wow, I did make 100,000, but like really only took like 20,000 of it out, and I still only have about 50,000, like or whatever, right?" You can work through this if you've grown this business or any business in any sort. You know that just because you made 100,000 in sales doesn't by any stretch of the imagination mean that you've got that much money or you've made that much money. And what people forget is that at that $100,000, $200,000, whatever in sales level, That's often what you can do yourself, right? That's often what you can do yourself. And people forget the fact that, hey, if I want to go from $200,000 to $1 or $2 million, I can't continue only investing $25,000 in 30 hours a week into the business, or 50,000 or 75,000, whatever that is. You have to take more risk. So whether that means hiring more people, putting more funding relationships together, learning how to do bigger deals, all those kind of things, all of this stuff comes from taking bigger risk. And one of the big mindset blocks, what's up, Patrick? What's up, Spencer? One of the big mindset blocks that people have is risk, right? But you also forget that you took risks to get where you are. And so many people are stuck, and I see it week after week. They get stuck in this rut of, hey, wow, I did 100,000, 150,000, but like, how do I get up to the next level? And so many people, I say, well, okay, do you have $250,000 to invest? Right? Because I can tell you with any basic model, doing the land business how I do, where I exchange cash for land, I don't do many options unless it really calls for it in the situation. And I'll go on that. I can go on a rant about that another time. But generally, I do my business cash. I think it gives a lot more flexibility. I think it allows you to do much more creative things with your deals. And it allows you to use your purchasing power to take deals down now, which sometimes they fall apart when you leave them on option. That's the only rant. That's as far as I'm going on that rant for now. If you want to grow this business to $1 million, I personally think with how I've modeled it and how I run my business and how I take different perspectives in, you need a working $200,000 to $250,000 in capital. And why am I saying this is because you may only have 50 or 70 or 80 right now, and you may not ever get that number down to zero, right? You may have 80,000 in your account and you get it down to 10,000 or 20,000 or 40, but you're scared to get it down. My friends, when I plot out what it looks like to make $1 million in this business, my accounts swing $250,000 at some point because you've got to buy a shiz ton of inventory, right? That's what doing that in a year looks like. And which leads me into my next point of this is like, it's also okay to not have a monetary as the big overarching goal in your business, right? Like, let's just let that sink in for 1 second. Like, how many times do you say to yourself, because I know the answer for me, how many times have you said, when I'm making 10K a month, when I'm making 20K a month, when I make 200K a year, right? Have you ever said, I mean, I'm sure, let me know in the comments if you said that for one of the 40 people here. Has anybody said that while you're scaling the business? Like, man, it's all going to be great once I hit 10K a month. Everything's going to be great. When I hit 15K a month, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to be off to the races, right? When I hit 20K a month, like, I'm going to retire, right? Whatever you say to yourself. I just laugh and chuckle a little bit because I've been through it, and it's not the truth, you know. Um, Personally, I battle like this busy entrepreneur mindset. I think many people here, again, let me know in the comments. Do you have a busy entrepreneur mindset? I think most people watching this do. I think most people watching this do. I have a busy entrepreneur mindset. I really have to slow myself down sometimes, and obviously that just bleeds over to kind of being a busy-minded person in general. So I've been down that road where I think, man, if I make 100K, 200K, 500K, a million, 5 million, when my portfolio hits that size, ooh, it's going to be smooth sailing. You know what I mean? And like, first off, it's just not. Like, you're going to be upset when you get to that level that you've idolized of $500,000, $20,000 a month, whatever. You're going to be upset when you get to that level and you realize that, oh shit, all of this stuff that I deal with every day, the schedules and the people and the kids and the whatever you name it, still there, still got to do it. And just because I made $500,000, I can't hire a nanny to do it all for me, right? Like, it's not that level. All the shit in your regular life is still there, still trekking along like normal. But then you also have the treat of that now your life has got more complex. You used to have $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 revenue problems. Now you've got 500,000, million, $5 million in revenue problems. And so many people think, oh my God, I'm going to get to that number and I'm just cruising. I'm good. Well, it's like, no, you actually have significantly more complex issues to work through. You have significantly more where I started this whole thing risk, so much more risk on a day-to-day basis, whether it's feeding your employees or it's satisfying your investors or it's keeping a roof over your own head. Like just because you have great months doesn't mean it's always going to be like that in your business. And so what my point is on this is like so many people, I would think everybody watching us at some point and to one degree or another does this. Man, once I hit that 20K a month, I'm out of my job, I'm smooth sailing and life is a breeze, right? And the truth is like, it's not. If that's your goal at the end of it, is I got the 50 or the 20K a month, the 500 grand, the million, whatever I've done, it is not the answer. I know from experience, but I also know from common sense because we all know it, but we just forget it sometimes. We forget it. And so if you're a Gary Vee fan, one thing that really he says has changed a lot in how I've approached entrepreneurship, money, all these things is like, does your business make you happy? Right? Like, does your business make you happy? Because just quick backstory, over the past year, I took a partner on in my business. Any way you slice it, up, down, left, or right, with my platform or what I could do, like financially, it's not the best decision. Like if I was racing to be an 8-figure entrepreneur, 10 million bucks, woo, right? If I was racing to that, that wasn't the right decision. But on another scale, I know that I get a little bit anxious when I got $250,000, $500,000 working in my business because I'm 26 and I haven't done that a lot. I'll just be honest about it. That's stressful to me. Doing this thing alone is stressful. Paying a whole team and a staff and all the marketing dollars and property, that's stressful. And yes, personally, like would have made more money if I hadn't, but people often, like we just talked about, like, think that money is the answer. Well, my friends, it's really happiness. It's like, what makes you happy? And I think if we go back and think about it, um, if you go back and think about when you started this business, for almost everybody, it was to overcome like a problem, you know? Mine was my job. I was in sales, just running the phones all day, and it was like exhausting to me. And that was my problem. But yet sometimes I got 3 different businesses I'm juggling and things I'm doing, and I think my life's falling apart, and I forget to take a second to step back and say, wow, I actually don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to do that job. That was the problem back then. I can pay for my own health insurance now. I have, plenty of capital and cash in order to protect myself, my family. Like, even though it's not 10 million or 1 or whatever the number, who cares? It's like I made decisions in my business, and something I've learned really over the last year is like, it's about happiness, right? And so, you know, to maybe play devil's advocate to what I started with this whole chat about, of you got to take more risk, you got to take more risk, you got to spend more money, you got to do all these things. I just wanted to offer a realistic perspective, because when it comes down to nuts and bolts, if you don't invest the money, the time, the energy, whatever it is, you won't be successful here. If you think you can keep making $25,000 decisions, $25,000 of investment capital, and make it to $1 million, you're playing in the wrong field. But on the opposite side, you don't have to play in that field. You know, I think we put a ton of pressure on ourselves to like, how can I make this happen as quickly as possible, or else I'm XYZ, fill in what you call yourself, right? And some people forget it's more about happiness. So I don't have your perfect answer for you. I'm not that guru for you, but the truth is, like, take a second to first be practical with yourself. What do you say that goal is? Is it 20,000 a month? That typically in my mind is like a $500,000 to $800,000 portfolio. Is it 50,000 a month? What is that number that where everything works itself out, right? And then just be honest with yourself. Am I taking the same risk, making the same decisions I did when I signed up with XYZ course program? Am I doing the same mechanics, the same things? Or have I changed my focus? Like, because again, I tell you, $50,000 decisions are different than $500,000 or $1 million decisions, right? What you're doing with your time, your day, your business. And the question is, are you? And it's okay if you're not, but just be realistic. What does it take, right? Just pretend it's linear. Like if you're investing, like if you look at let's use this as a metric, how much money you spend every month, right? When I pull up Bank of America, I look how much money I spend every month. it's between my businesses, it's normally somewhere around 150 to $250,000, right? For properties and employees and marketing and this and that, and the next thing, right? And I've grown, I've done well. But that's a realistic number of like what we're spending every month in order to achieve that. So what are you spending? Are you spending 5, 10, 20, 50? Well, if it's not there, if it's not at least in the range or ballpark we're talking about, then you're probably not taking the risk. And so where I wanted to land this plane, Andrew, appreciate it. Andrew's in the mastermind. He knows. Mindset is half of it. Mindset, community make up so much of it. Strategy is just a little piece of it. Where I wanted to land this plane today is like, does your business make you happy? Right? Because if it doesn't, you've lost the path. You've lost the reason and perspective. And practically know that it takes money and time and energy and risk in order to grow the business. And so I think level one, get practical with yourself, right? And then two, what makes you happy, right? Are you a freaking like, you just love it? Like for me, I've told people this for a long, long time that have worked with me. I don't like love the land business, right? If you really look at the mechanics of the land business, it's like internal operations, paperwork, it's receptioning, it's sales, it's marketing, it's all the stuff you do in any job. So the mechanics of the land business, not that exciting, to be honest. It's okay to say that too. But I do love the land business. I love what it provides for me, and I really have grown to love the land. But how do you become happy in your business? Blend those two of, hey, what does it really take to get where I want, right? What kind of risk, what kind of spending, what kind of strategy do I need to change? And then part two is like, blend that with what makes you happy. Of course, in my mind, I want to make $10 million a year. But then if I reverse engineer what I need to have 8 account managers, $3 million in funding, and a team of 15 on Learn Land, and like you got to have a million things. I don't want all that, right? I think we got to take a second to say, hey, what does it take to get where we want to be? But also, what does happiness look like in your business? I'm always happy to talk to anybody offline about what I've done and how I've, really found a lot of happiness in what I do. But that's kind of what I'm going to land here with some strategies on how can you really do some of these things. See if there's anything I missed on my notes. Nope, I hit it. I did all that from memory too. Oh, Christopher, thank you. Most mountaintop experiences are momentary. Put that on a t-shirt. I love it. Okay, so first off, how do you get happy in your business, right? Figure out what it really takes. What are you doing now versus what you need to do? And then figure out what makes you happy. Do certain things stress you out? Do they not? Reflect on that. You'll be a lot happier in your business. Okay, strategies, my friends. Most people don't do these because they're risky. Okay, so it's on my phone. Most people don't do a lot of these things. Probably many of you listening here have thought about doing these things but haven't. Okay, here's some things to talk about. First, you got to think about the money. All right, got to think about the money, guys. So many it blows my mind how many people I've talked to in this business, the programs, the courses, all the things, and the first thing they ask you isn't how much capital are you investing, right? What does the funding look like for you personally? The first thing I do with anybody that works with me for a month, not a month, but a couple weeks, is we dig in to, okay, get vulnerable with me. How much money you got? What are we working with? How much do you feel comfortable investing? So once we get that number, we can say, okay, well, here's what we need to have. So we need to solve this problem in the middle. What do we not have, right? First, you got to worry about funding, my friends. If you were trying to build a business in your head to a certain level, but you have not secured the line of credit, the partnerships, the whatever relationship, love a guy, I don't remember his name, he says everything's relationship capital, and it's so true. If you haven't secured the relationships, which eventually will lead to the funding, if you haven't secured that, then you just don't have the power. You don't have the purchasing power. You're going to be spinning your wheels in your mind all the time. How do I grow my business to this level I'm talking about, right? Funding is the first thing. You've got to, in our mastermind, which I encourage you to go get on the wait list for if you're not, in our mastermind, we have this whole spreadsheet we work off of. And it's how you take what's in your brain, how much you want to make, reverse engineer it, so you can find some of these key performance indicators, KPIs, right? How much mail do I need to send? How much money do I need to raise? What kind of people realistically do I need to put on my team, right? But you got to have the money. So you got to start with what you want, and you got to reverse engineer to where you are. Okay. Anybody in the land business, like, just we forget. We get so tied up in the opportunity and the strategies. We got to have the money. We got to have the money. We got to have the money in relationships in place to actually execute. One of my favorite things I say on the phone to destroy deals is I tell people, look, you get a bunch of letters. How many have you called? How many of them follow up with you? How many of them have you even asked to buy your property and they ghosted you? I don't do that. I'm well capitalized and I close in 30 days. So let's freaking do this thing, baby, right? I highlight that a lot of people are rookies and they don't know what they're doing. And that's the truth because they don't have the purposing power, but I do. When I find a deal I love, we analyze it, I want it, I take it down and I put it in the pipeline. There's 400 and something properties later, they're all selling, baby, every single one of them. So I'm never scared about that. Just another reason I like to do cash deals, or I like to have cash. Okay, first thing about the money, okay? You got to get access to the money. Figure out realistically what makes you happy. Where are you? How much can you invest? What's the amount you need, right? Fill that gap. You got to find that gap, okay? Number two, these are the three things that I've done in my business, by the way, to get to this $1 million, whatever big high level goal that we want, okay? Team. I said at the beginning, currency is the conversations are the currency. The more text messages, emails, and phone calls that are made in your business are a direct indicator of success, in my opinion. The more time my acquisitions team and my sales team are on the phone, on the email, on the text message, whatever, the more deals we're doing. Now, got to reverse engineer that, right? How much marketing is that going to take? How much is that going to cost? And really, really, really importantly, who's going to do it? Who's going to do all that marketing work? If you want to 5, 10x where you are in your business, who's going to have 10 times more phone conversations than you're having now? Okay. Conversations at any point, I can guarantee you, if I went to 5 of the biggest land investors and I said, let me see how many calls, texts, and emails you send, they would be linear, close to linear between like me or you or something. So if you're sending 100 call, text, emails a month and I'm sending 1,000, they're sending 10,000 or 100,000, whatever it is. It's linear. The more conversations you have, the more you're modeling your business for success. Okay. And just logically, we understand conversations are time consuming. I call them, if you can master the 15-minute task in your business, get them off your plate, your business will scale 3 or 4 times faster. But you can't do it without a team. And I'm not talking about one $6 an hour VA from, you name it, Philippine, VA, house, whatever. They serve a great role in your business. They don't have like the brain. That sounds rude. Come on, Clint. They just don't have like the tact. They don't have the expertise you have. Okay. And really, I find it very difficult and kind of risky, in my opinion, to spend hundreds of hours training a VA who lives in a different country from me and just can disappear at any moment, right? I've chosen to build my team, my business. As we've scaled, we have strategic account managers. Like, if you want to get businessy with it, they really understand the specifics of their role and they make those phone calls. They call the county, they get deals closed and get deals sold. So the team is what eventually will scale this. Because if you want a barometer, like, I say that 40 deals a year is around where you can do working in the normal time frame. Now, a good friend of mine, I have some friends who have obviously been exceptions to this, and people I know who have worked 80 hours a week for the last 5 years and are multimillionaires in this space and who have done it very much alone. But it kind of goes back to what makes you happy. Do you want to work 80 hours a week for the next 5 years, or do you want to build something that makes you happy, right? Personal decision. Team is important, my friends. Your team, your team, your team. I tell them every single week, I could not be where we are, where our business is without our team. We pay them well, we treat them well, we train them well. So important. And the last one, acquisitions. My friends, back to the money, back to everything. Like, you can't do this business if you don't know your numbers. All right. If you want to make $1 million a year, it's very hard to do that with properties that make $5,000, $2,000, $3,000 a piece. Just think of the scale. Okay. What's a million divided by 2,000? I don't know. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Hey, Google, what's a million divided by 2,500?
1 million divided by 2,500 is 400.
Thank you. If your average margin on a deal is 2,500 bucks, you need to do 400 deals in a year to even have a gross margin or kind of a net margin of $1 million bucks. But that's not even counting in your time and energy and marketing and all the stuff. Okay. With acquisitions, you've got to learn, if you want to make X amount of money, how do you reverse engineer that through the size of your deals? All right. I tell you from experience, it's much easier to do 50 deals a year where you make 20 grand a piece than to do 500 deals where you make 2,000. Okay. I have about 170 loans between my portfolios. Like, they're great. I love them. They do provide a ton of cash flow for me personally, but like, that was a ton of work. And I've made so much more than that note portfolio just by doing bigger deals. Right. And so this is kind of why this is where I want to take our webinar. And this is what we're going to be having a lot of conversations about in our mastermind is how do you do bigger deals, right? So acquisition, such an important thing. You've got to first have those numbers, have your goals, be able to reverse engineer how much capital do I need? How big of a team do I need? And what acquisitions, what size deals do I need to go after? And those are the three biggest things I've done that have helped me scale my business. So summary of all this, be patient or take bigger risk. You got to understand the money side of the business. And it is super okay to make 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 a month and not have to stress about becoming a millionaire or making 100,000 a month. Patience and happiness. That's why we started this business. Happiness. Almost everybody likes land for one reason or another because it will make them happy. Time with the family, money, energy, like whatever you want. That's generally why we do land. And a lot of times we get lost in the fact that we got to hit a number. All right, there we go. 40 minutes. I try and keep them to 30, but 40 will do. Thank you everybody for coming. Let me check the comments real quick. As we wrap up here, if you're not in our mastermind, get on the wait list, click the link above me, click the button on the page, read about it, see if you're interested, get on the wait list. We are going to be opening that bad boy up in April, and we'll get you all the details for it. So I can't pull my comments up here for some reason. Let's see if I can do it on my phone real quick, just so I can say thanks to everybody. I am getting ready to sign off, so I appreciate everybody for jumping on. Hope you're having a fantastic week. What's today? Thursday. Everybody has just been off this week, I feel like, on what day it is. But so thankful you were here. I hope you got some value out of it. If you did, leave a comment, push the like button, let somebody know to watch it. All that kind of stuff really helps us, and we're very, very thankful for anybody who does and supports us. Andrew, thank you. Christopher, thank you. Patrick, thank you. They don't have the problem-solving ability to sell. Exactly. They don't, Patrick. I know what you're talking about. Okay, everybody. Thank you much. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate you, my friend. Appreciate everybody. Hope you're having a great week. If you got any questions about anything we talked about, pop in my DM, say what's up. Happy to chit-chat. Otherwise, have a great weekend. Really go out. Best of luck. Buy and sell some land. And most importantly, don't forget, your business makes you happy, my friends. Have a great week. Talk to you guys soon. See ya. See ya, Ben. See ya, John. We love you all. Peace. See ya.